and they don't really like me. Cause I can fuck your bitch and fuck your mom and auntie.
Rested. Hydrate yourself, take care of yourself.
All right.
Don't forget.
Last video.
First off, we needed to stop
the dark side of Disney
we knew
Channel.
it was time.
You chose to stop it.
Yes, my brother and I actually quit off of Disney Channel.
As someone whose professional career initially spiked at 11 years old, and whose face is now the cover of clickbait articles titled 10 Shocking Ways These Child Stars Died.
It's Alice.
Yo, I'll be seeing them ads too. What the
I'm
fuck?
Ashley Tisdale.
I'm Debbie Ryan.
Hi, I'm Dylan Sprouse. I'm Cole Sprouse.
We quit one because
Sweet Life of Zack and Cody was my shit.
I'm Disney royalty. Hi, I'm Shelby.
And I'm Jake. Welcome to Deep Dive,
where we dive into told and untold stories
with extreme detail.
If it happened,
It's probably in a deep dive.
Today we are super excited to kick off our next series, the Disney Channel Machine,
and show just how some of these kids were thrust into the spotlight
and made to work harder than most adults.
The goal of the series is to chronicle the transitional period between baby,
Actor, and for some,
Cultural
cultural phenomenon.
phenomenon.
We also want to take a moment to thank you all for 100,000 subscribers.
For real, thank you all so much for believing in us and always being so supportive.
We truly couldn't be living our dream without you. So grab a snack,
And patting down the hatches or whatever.
because this is about to get deep.
The Disney Channel is on the air.
In the spring of 1977, Jim Jamiro, a visionary at the Walt Disney Company, went to his higher-ups about an idea for a children's and family network called the Disney Channel, a variety show of sorts that would entertain the masses. Unfortunately, in the late 70s, there were only about 1.2 million cable subscribers nationwide, and although Disney executives liked the idea, they essentially laughed in Jim's face. He is quoted saying,
That's
"Back
tough.
then we could have done it for 50 cents. Everybody liked
Wow.
the idea, but the truth is nobody took it seriously. Their reaction was essentially, Jim, go do your 8mm home movies.
We did the channel because we did a lot of research that showed that there are literally tens of millions of people across this country who really wanted a kind of wholesome or family programming that wasn't being offered. Benton and Bull's advertising agency did a study fairly recently that indicated that something like 33% of the people who don't subscribe to pay television, with or without children, don't do it because they don't want R-rated pictures into their houses. Now, I'm not suggesting that there's not a tremendous market for that kind of material. I'm just saying that we discovered that there was a gap in the marketplace.
But it would be Jim Jamiro who had the last laugh, as the 80s brought great investments into the Walt Disney Company. The same year they built the billion-dollar theme park Epcot, the Walt Disney Company gave Jim Jamiro the green light on beginning what we know today as the most iconic children's network of all time, the Disney Channel.
And you're watching Disney Channel. Dun, 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 dun. Nigga.
Whole family, more new shows that are fun to watch, easy on the eyes, and packed with the things that you want to know. The people at the Disney Channel want you to know that that's a promise, a commitment to bringing you and your family the kind of quality television you'll be glad to welcome into your home.
The Disney Channel has kickstarted hundreds of careers, but it hasn't been without consequence. The rise to child stardom is a controversial one, filled with predatory casting directors, dangerous producers, and in today's episode, even convicted criminals. So be prepared, because we are going to be taking a look at one of the longest running Disney Channel shows of all time, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and chronicle just how one show not only launched the careers of some of the most influential people on the entire planet, but also hired a dangerous criminal right out of jail.
Stupid looking ears, doesn't it? No, what do you mean no? Look, the goof's got ears like an elephant. Say it.
No.
Come on, say it, the whip.
Yes, stupid.
What an idiot! You're twins! That means you got stupid ears too!
Jesus Christ. What the
Twins
fuck?
Dylan and Cole Sprouse were born on August 4th, 1992.
I'm not
And
gonna
just
lie.
8 months later, they
That shit broke my ankles when I found out that they both played a role in that Adam Sandler movie, Big Daddy. Bro, that shit broke my ankles when I found out they both played that fucking role. That shit was crazy.
They were thrust into the spotlight.
We started, basically, our mom put us in the business when we were really, really, really little. We were about 8 months old when we started, and we did diaper commercial. And then from then to 5 years old, we did Grace Under Fire.
However, Dylan and Cole would be playing the same role.
I'm not gonna have you tell me this morning you had a secret in Bradford. Tell me a secret, even though it's just you and me. Whisper a secret.
Very loose children's work restrictions were finally beginning to take form in California, and Hollywood studios needed to adapt accordingly. One of these ways was through the hiring of twins. According to California law, child actors between the age of 2 to 6 are only allowed to work 3 hours a day, and babies under 2 can only work 2 hours per day. With a twin, you can double that time and finish filming scenes faster and more efficiently.
Holy
so
shit.
Essentially, Hollywood production companies were hiring twins so they could drain them of more work hours. These laws only got more stringent, and by the time Dylan and Cole were off of Grace Under Fire and
that's
onto
why they
their
was
next
playing the
project,
same
they
role.
had no trouble landing another role, as twins were in very high demand. They had done several small roles, however their big break came in the late 90s when they starred along Adam Sandler in the hit film Big Daddy.
Literally just talk about this shit.
No, I did. No, I did. Mommy said I did. Did he?
How's it working with Adam Sandler? He's a pretty shy guy. Like, you wouldn't think that he's shy at first, but he really does open up. The great thing is he has a comedy for all ages.
This movie catapulted their careers to the mainstream. However, nothing could have prepared the twins for their Disney Channel debut, as in the coming years, Dylan and Cole Sprouse would become household names.
Zach lost her at school. I think he's angry.
I want to watch Zack and Cody on stream, but I don't think Disney would like that.
A woman!
You forget to cherish her.
In the early 2000s, as Disney Channel was focusing less on animation and putting more funding into live-action children's programming, we saw the rise of the hit original Disney Channel shows like Phil of the Future, Lizzie McGuire, and the Even Stevens. However, this was
I never
only
watched
the
none of that
beginning.
shit.
Multiple shows would begin production during the golden era of Disney Channel, including That's So Raven, Hannah
Alright, That's So
Montana,
Raven
and
was that
of
shit.
course,
I
The
watched Hannah
Sweet
Montana
Life
too.
of Zack and Cody.
Imagine living in a luxury hotel with unlimited room service, unrestricted pool access, and
You had your
Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Yo, the mom though.
comedy series.
When casting
The
and writing
mom,
the show,
though.
Disney saw Dylan and Cole Sprouse as far more than interchangeable twins. They saw two different personalities that played off of each other and knew as one character they could shine, but as twins, they could be marketed to the masses.
When Disney came to us with the offer, The Sweet Life, we were really grateful, and that's just kept us from there.
And so when Dylan and Cole were just 11 years old, executives at Disney Channel did just that. The series would follow a pair of twins named Zack and Cody around a parody of the Hilton Hotel as they wreaked havoc on their family and friends. Using existing Disney Channel stars, they built a dream cast.
This March, look who's coming to Disney Channel.
Dog!
The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, a brand new Disney Channel original series. Coming to March on Disney Channel.
Bro, when she put that dress on and she starts singing, dog.
No parody of the Hilton Hotel would be complete without an iconic so Disney Channel writers dreamed up London Tipton, an airhead who also happened to be the heir to the Tipton fortune. She was outwardly happy and had everything anyone could ever want, but deep down she craved connection and missed her parents more than anything.
This wouldn't have to do more with your father not showing up for the father-daughter dance, would it?
Baby. I just thought he might actually show up this time.
London needed a frenemy, and that came in the form of Maddie Fitzpatrick, a studious teen girl London's age who worked at the Tipton Hotel candy counter to support her family. However, casting these characters would be no simple task. Maddie needed to be quick-witted, snappy, and smart, while London needed to be pretentious, likable, but still three-dimensional. The part of London Tipton originally went to none other than Ashley Tisdale, a teen Broadway performer who previously had done voice acting work for A Bug's Life, and the part of
I
Maddie
didn't know that
Fitzpatrick
actually.
originally went to Phil of the Future star Brenda Song. Brenda told W Magazine it was Ashley Tisdale who tested for the role of London Tipton. They were going to go full true Paris Hilton parody, and when we read for the roles, they were like, no, actually you guys switched parts. Hollywood wasn't doing that then. Every audition was like a job to me. I didn't get a lot of auditions. It wasn't until I got into the Disney family that they were so very open.
I got into this accident. I was like 4 years old in the mall in Northern California, and they were doing like a big model search in the middle of the mall. This school wasn't legit at all, but I met a real agent through it. And I
Brenda Song, though?
so many scams out there. And it was, but I was lucky enough to meet a real agent. I just love being on a set, and I love what I do. We're really lucky that, you know, I mean, at least for me, I get to live out the dream that I had since I was like 7 years old, and you know, every single day. So I can't complain.
So I feel really proud of that, because for me, growing up, I didn't see a lot of girls who looked like me on TV, and it was a little disheartening because I was like, I'm not Jackie Chan, I'm not Jet Li, how am I going to do this? Brenda even got accepted into Harvard at just 16 years old when she officially landed the role. Wow. However, she went with her dreams of becoming an actress instead. Disney replaced her on Phil of the Future and thus transformed her into the iconic London Tipton.
W.
And Ashley Tisdale assumed her new role as Maddie Fitzpatrick with ease and showcased her versatility as an actress.
I'm so grateful for playing those roles. Like at that time in my life, that was like what I wanted to do. I was like, I need to be on Disney.
The twins needed a reason to live at the hotel. Different characters who worked in the hotel along with a parental figure. The soap opera icon herself, Kim Rhodes, assumed the part of the twins who lived in the hotel. Phil Lewis would be cast as Mr. Mosby, the uptight hotel manager who acted as a father figure to London and was always at odds with Zach and Cody.
Are you familiar with the gear shift?
You mean the Prindle?
I like this.
Are you referring to the shift lever that says PRNDL?
That's a child's Mosby. I know how to spell Prindle.
It is not something you spell. It is a gear shift. The letters stand for park, reverse, neutral, drive, and loud.
You're making me nervous with all this technical talk.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why don't we just relax? We'll turn on the radio. Would you like
Monte would be cast as Mr. Mosby's bellboy, Esteban Julio.
That fucking part is iconic.
Ramirez. Brian Stepanek became a fan favorite when he was cast as the scatterbrained engineer Arwen, whose love for Carrie Martin was only rivaled by his love for creating disastrous inventions for the hotel. And Allison Stoner, a dance prodigy who gained major recognition at just 11 years old when starring alongside Missy Elliott in the music video for Work It.
Dad didn't even know she was in the fucking Missy Elliott music video. That's crazy.
Who befriends the twins at school. But Allison wasn't the only star to gain a huge boost from The Sweet Life. The show would also act as the testing ground for an entire new generation of child stars, including but not limited to Victoria Justice, Nathan Kress, Rainey Rodriguez, Moises Arias, Vanessa Hutchins, Daniela Monet, Drew Seeley, and global sensation Selena Gomez. Emma Stone even played the voice of London Tipton's dog, Ivana. The
what the fuck?
Were out of this world as well,
dog.
Including Jesse McCartney.
Nigga, the amount of star power in this fucking show is crazy. I never noticed this shit.
And Cody to life, but behind the scenes,
Jesus Christ,
few key individuals that would cause the sweet life of Zach and Cody not to be so sweet. The Disney Channel was building Dylan and Cole Sprouse's show into an empire, but underneath the shiny hotel sets, millions in merchandise, and dozens
no
of
wonder this shit was a fucking massive hit.
Secret.
It is no secret that Hollywood is full of but you would think there would be many safeguards put in place by child networks such as Disney Channel to protect the many children on set. Unfortunately, that has not always been the case. This can be demonstrated by when Disney Channel hired convicted offender Brian Peck to play the mirror voice on The Sweet Life of
Are you
Zach
serious?
How do I look?
2 words. Gorgeous.
Are you serious?
Yep, it's something that Daddy's scientists came up with. Now, not only can I see how good I look, I can hear about it too. Yay, mirror! Ooh, let me try. So, how do I look? Well, anyway, what are you doing here, mirror?
I'm here to take you on a little trip. Come on. Step into me.
Okay, I think you've been going a little heavy on the glass cleaner.
Trust me on this, sweetie. Have I ever steered you wrong before?
You did tell me I looked good wearing a scrunchie.
It was the 90s. They were in.
Whatever. I'm not stepping inside you.
Is that a pimple?
Yes! Where? But I don't see a pimple.
Look closer. Closer.
Brian Peck has worked in Hollywood since the 80s. While he is still to this day a cult figure within the horror community for playing Scuzz in The Return of the Living Dead.
And wow, I just discovered that an actor from one of my favorite movies, Return of the Living Dead, is a and what I want to know is how this never became common knowledge and how this guy continues to find work and makes a fortune appearing at conventions and still acting, to this day. Apparently he's well connected and is friends with Charlie Sheen and other influential people.
He has also worked on many children's shows through the years.
What's the little drawing? You see him? We draw drawings of each other. Brian is the famous artist, and we always make fun of each other and portray each other in silly, satirical ways.
Leo's job on this set, for some reason, is to make fun of me all day long. Leo, as you know, is the latest, hottest, hunkiest teen idol there is.
Yeah, muscles.
Yo!
Speaking of hunky.
Yo!
Brian would work with Nickelodeon frequently, appearing in Kenan and Kel, Good Burger, The Amanda Show, and all that.
Brian Peck moved to Nickelodeon and coached on almost all their shows, really. It was one of those shows where he befriended a pretty major child actor. That child was by Brian Peck. He came forward and filed criminal charges against Brian Peck.
On August 19th, 2003, Brian Peck was arrested for a Nickelodeon child star. LAPD had put out a statement stating that detectives believed there were additional victims who had not come forward. And considering Peck had been working in the industry for 20 years at this point, there is no way to know how many survivors of Brian Peck there truly are, as many victims in Hollywood are forced to stay silent to protect their careers.
Brian Peck almost immediately pled guilty. Clearly he didn't want an investigation to continue, or clearly the studio didn't want an investigation to continue. The victim has chosen to remain
because
anonymous
there's a lot more,
along,
that's why.
in order to continue to work. It's unheard of that a child would be able to step forward at the time of when they're still a minor and continue to work afterward. I can't think of a single example where that's happened. So a kid that wants to speak out and say what happened to them beyond their family would truly have to give up their career. It's very sad that that's the case, but it's a reality.
Brian Peck was convicted in 2004, where he would only spend 16 months in prison. His conviction of a Nickelodeon child star would not prevent him from continuing his work in Hollywood. As just months after his release, Disney Channel would hire him to play the mirror voice on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
But
Either
why?
Disney Channel was unaware of Brian Peck's conviction, which would mean they aren't taking the most basic precautions to protect their child stars, such as background checks. Or Disney Channel did know they were hiring a convicted offender to work on one of their child shows and simply didn't care about the risk. However, Brian Peck was not the first convicted Disney has hired. Filmmaker Victor Salva was convicted after pleading guilty to 5 felony counts in 1988.
What
Salva
the
was sentenced to just 3 years, but only ended up serving half of his sentence. Fast forward to 1995, a movie called Powder was released by Disney and produced by Caravan Pictures. This movie was written and directed by none other than Victor Salva. Salva is even quoted saying, "Powder contains many of his thoughts from his time in prison," within the movie's subtext. The release of Powder prompted Nathan Winters, the victim, to come forward publicly and protest Disney hiring the convicted who him.
That's when Powder came out. And I was like at work one day and I got a call from my auntie and she said, and Victor wrote it and directed it, and it's got Mary Steenburgen and, Jeff Goldblum and da-da-da-da. And so I'm 20 years old and I'm at work and I'm just got hit in the gut, It
was already fuck Disney for real. Yo,
and then she tells me
I'm doubling down on fuck
produced
Disney.
by Disney. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, it took about a half an hour and I just made a decision. I'm like, well, I can't allow this. And literally, as I'm accepting this and making that decision,
I'm glad I don't pay for fucking Disney Plus.
Associated Press, and
that shit
it was a
canceled.
powder keg. It just blew up. I mean, laying it all out there for the world to see and to know what Victor really is.
The protest caused a media stir where Disney and Caravan Pictures had no choice but to respond, and both shockingly defended their choice to hire Victor Salva. The Caravan Pictures spokesperson was quoted saying he paid for his crimes, he paid his debt to society.
What do you
and
mean?
The Disney spokesperson said, quote, "What happened 8 years ago has nothing to do with this movie."
What do you mean?
Competition was, I would say at that time, it was about 60-40. 60% of the people were like supportive of me, but you know, there's the 40% that would call me all sorts of names and tell me that I was doing it for all the wrong reasons and try to discredit me. And then you got people like Eisner down at Disney going on record and saying that it was a one-time inappropriate between a grown man and a consenting minor.
This just shows are not stopped from working in Hollywood even after convictions, and they certainly aren't prevented from working on family-friendly films and TV shows, paving the way for more and more to join this industry. There would be one more that we know of tied to Disney Channel and the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Joshua Workman was the manager for Cole and Dylan Sprouse during their time on the Sweet Life.
Yo.
He even helped co-produce the Sprouse Twins movie, The Prince and the Pauper, which did air on Disney Channel. According to TMZ in 2008, Joshua Workman pled no contest to 1 count of misdemeanor and 1 count sales of alcoholic beverages to a minor.
Bro.
Joshua's attorney gave a statement stating that Joshua admitted he annoyed
nasty.
an individual who is a minor and provided them alcohol.
This is so
According to the
nasty.
Superior Court of California, Ventura County,
This is
Joshua
so
Workman's
nasty.
case
This is
today
sick.
shows dismissed
This is some
or
sick shit.
expunged, and Joshua Workman
This is some
has
sick
since
shit.
changed his name and moved to Canada.
This is some sick fucking
Years later, in
shit.
2012, a new California state law would be introduced and passed to help protect child stars from offenders. Brian Peck was one of the many offenders who sparked the creation of this law. The law AB 1660 requires those who work with child actors that may have unsupervised access to them, such as publicists, managers, acting coaches, and photographers, to be fingerprinted and pass an FBI background check before they would be issued a child performer services permit. While the law was a great start, it had many loopholes. If you were a fellow actor such as Brian Peck or a part of the show's crew, you wouldn't necessarily be required to undergo these FBI background checks. 6 years after the law was put into place, Deadline conducted an investigation to see if there has been any follow-through, and they found only 292 valid permit holders within the State Department's Industrial Relations database. Many industry professionals have not complied with the new law and have failed to register. Amongst those who have failed to comply would be publicists who represent child stars on many hit TV shows such as Disney Channel's Stuck in the Middle and Raven's Home. And while this is the darkest part of the industry that has impacted more child stars than we could ever know, there are also
That's
so many
crazy.
other negative impacts to child actors within this industry.
So we shot a pilot.
Disney is
the pilot
so
was
fucking
going to
shitty.
either be picked up or not picked up. into
Disney
a
is
TV
so
series
fucking
order.
shitty.
3 seasons, because that's how Disney did it. You'll see that in a lot of different shows that they've had.
In the late 90s and early 2000s, Disney Channel seemingly implemented what the gamer has called the 65-episode rule. Just as its name implies, the 65-episode rule was a pretty rigid programming scheme that rarely let Disney Channel original shows from exceeding 65 episodes total. Many great shows fell victim to this, including Even Stevens and Lizzie McGuire, which were both cut off at exactly 65 episodes. Both of these shows were then given a Disney Channel original movie, but were eventually phased out of the primetime Disney Channel programming. But why would Disney Channel end extremely successful shows with an arbitrary number of episodes? Many have speculated over the years why this rule was put in place, some theorizing that the stars of the shows along with their viewers aged out of the desired Disney Channel demographic. But the website Fandom suggests the rule may have had more to do with programming schedules rather than any personal feelings about a series on the part of studio executives. Before streaming services, DVR, and on-demand, television networks' programming was much more rigid, as the networks were choosing which reruns to play. With 65 episodes, 5 episodes can be broadcast a week, reaching the 65th episode at the end of the quarter. This caused filming and promotional schedules for the child stars on Disney to often be unmanageable and exhausting.
While some companies stay within the legal range of working hours for minors, many do not. Regardless, set conditions are inappropriate and hazardous. Did you know that according to the U.S. Department of Labor, 17 states still don't have any regulations in place for child entertainment in 2021? Yet all 50 have working child performers. Adding to this, Zero Productions acknowledged that after their shoot, I will go to another, record an interview during my lunch break, train for multiple hours, skip dinner, and meet for a late night rehearsal. After all, their responsibility is to deliver a product on time and in budget, not to babysit. Meanwhile, agents are encouraging me to look at early emancipation so I can work longer hours.
By the time Suite Life of Zack and Cody was in production, Disney was already moving on to an even more strenuous programming schedule, as the 65 episode rule was officially broken for good in 2004 by That's So Raven, and successful shows were now
y'all wasn't
longer.
Y'all wasn't just gonna give That's So Raven just 65 episodes and that'd be it. The fuck you thought this was?
Right now, or do you get a little holiday break?
We're off until January, I think, and then we're back.
What are the plans? What are you gonna be doing?
I mean, we want as much downtime as we can get because, you know, we are really busy when the show's going, so we don't really, we're just trying to relax, I guess.
Yeah, mainly. That's our #1 priority.
I like it. Now, any favorite?
By its second season, The Suite Life of Zack and Cody had reached its 65 episode lifespan. Yet, like That's So Raven a few years prior, executives still renewed the show for one last season. However, with the success of Cory in the House after That's So Raven ended, whispers of different Zack and Cody sequels began to spread. The Suite Life story was just getting started as Disney had two concepts that
Let's
would
not
make
forget
it to
he a
filming.
nasty motherfucker
One titled
too.
The Suite Life on Deck, and another lesser-known sequel titled Arwen Housebroken. The Suite Life on Deck would be centered around the twins setting sail on the SS Tipton, seeing the world and attending boarding school with London and a slew of new characters. The lesser-known sequel, Housebroken, would focus on fan-favorite character Arwen. Instead of having Dylan and Cole Sprouse, the series would have had Brian Stepanek reprise his role as Arwen Hockhauser, who was going to live with his sister to help her take care of her kids. An entirely new cast of characters would have also starred in the show, with the most notable being Selena Gomez.
You have no business going to a high school party.
I'm in high school. What other parties am I gonna go to?
She has a point. You stay out of this. I'm her mother, and I'll decide what's appropriate for her.
She has a point, too. It's all tied up.
While pilots of The Suite Life on Deck and Housebroken were being conceptualized, the third season of The Suite Life of Zack and Cody was in production, and it would prove to be majorly problematic. For starters, Ashley Tisdale could only be in a select number of episodes due to her extremely packed filming schedule playing Sharpay in High School Musical. But in November of 2007,
I remember her not being in some episodes like that after a while,
As many
actually.
of you know, 3 weeks ago, the members of the Writers Guilds of America voted overwhelmingly to authorize a strike if we could not reach a fair and reasonable deal with the Alliance motion picture and television producers. Studios made it clear that they would rather shut down this town than reach a fair and reasonable deal.
12,000 writers are on strike, saying producers don't want to pay them enough when their material gets reused on the internet.
Their shows are streamed live online, and they're not getting paid for it.
At the end of the day, how much money do you think this will cost everybody?
$1 billion
Pay the creators.
at least.
The Writers
I'm
Guild
on the
strike
side of
in
the creator.
2007 halted production on multiple Disney Channel shows. And according to the senior VP of original programming for the Disney Channel, the strike put a halt to The Suite Life, and unfortunately proved to effectively kill off any chance of Disney producing 2 sequels for The Suite Life. The pilot episode of Housebroken was filmed, however, only The Suite Life on Deck would make it to air. Housebroken was eventually scrapped in favor of the hit Disney Channel series starring Selena Gomez, Wizards of Waverly Place, which went on to be one of
Wizards of
Disney
Waverly
Channel's
Place was
biggest
that.
successes. However, Housebroken will always exist as the Suite Life spin-off with Selena Gomez that almost was. Well, at least until 2011, but we'll get to that later in the video. Suite Life of Zack and Cody was a cultural phenomenon, and each of the core cast members were quickly becoming Disney royalty. Brenda and Ashley both got their own Disney Channel original movies, and the ratings for the show during the final season just kept growing. Thus, as networks often do, when a popular show comes to an end, it's still time to continue the story.
We're really happy that Disney took us back again. We're honored. Basically what happens is Zach and Cody now do school abroad. Their mom finally got enough money with their employee discount to put us on a ship, the SS Tipton. So now we're doing school there, and basically we have to learn responsibility.
Our young teenage boys and London are off on a grand adventure,
where all the kids will be going to school on a luxury cruise liner.
You know, we had a lot of fun doing The Sweet Life, and it's just going to be a lot more fun doing this show.
Coming off the mega success of The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, The Sweet Life on Deck was pretty much the same with a few minor changes. Instead of a hotel, they would be traveling the world on the SS Tipton. And with the removal of Ashley Tisdale and Kim Rhodes from the main cast, 4 new main characters were added. Doc Shaw played Marcus Little, a retired child rapper who shares a room with Zach and attends 7 Seas High.
Oh, yeah, he is in
cast as
House of
Woody,
Pain.
Cody's roommate, and Aaron Cardillo played their teacher, Miss Tutwiler. But the biggest addition to the Sweet Life sequel was the introduction of Debbie Ryan, a child star who, much like Selena Gomez and Demi Lovato, got her start on Barney. The Disney Channel saw major potential in Debbie, not only as one of the frontrunners of their brand new show, but as an asset to their brand to recruit more children for the network.
A full-fledged system has emerged. It's expertly constructed, and it's bolted in place by censoring the harm happening behind the scenes, manicuring aspirational lifestyles and outcomes.
Just 4 weeks ago, I was an everyday teenager living in Texas, but I got the chance to live out my dream by being cast on Disney Channel's next big show, The Sweet Life on Deck.
When we decided to move forward and do Sweet Life on Deck, we needed another character, and we were incredibly lucky to find the perfect person that we envisioned as Bailey, and her name is Debbie Ryan, and she's just joined our Sweet Life family.
It's London's roommate.
So I found out that I booked The Sweet Life on Deck, and that I'm going to be, London's new roommate, which I understood from, the audition and the screen test that was a huge role. And I was like, Mom, do you know how big the show is? Do you know how big this is going to be? And she's like, yeah. And we're still surprised.
So was it hard? Because you and your mom have had to move to LA and your brother and your dad stayed behind.
It's really hard. I text my brother all the time.
The show debuted to 5.7 million viewers in 2008 and proved to be another huge Disney Channel success. Episodes like Double Cross that featured Miley Cyrus and Selena Gomez would go on to break major records. The show ran from 2008 to 2011, with a Sweet Life movie being produced as well. And overall, the show was embraced by Disney Channel viewers just as much, if not more, than the original. Dylan and Cole were certified Disney royalty, and as The Sweet Life on Deck was renewed for one final season, they were in talks with Disney again about developing the next Sweet Life sequel. Only this time, they wanted to be executive producers.
Cole and Dylan Sprouse were now around 19 years old and had spent a majority of their career and large part of their childhood working for the Disney Channel machine. They were ready to leave Disney Channel and start their adult lives by taking a break from acting and pursuing higher education.
Why did I switch from acting, which my brother and I were arguably successful in, to archaeology? I think the simplest answer, and I will go into greater detail, but the simplest answer is because I can. And I don't mean that to sound pretentious. We don't realize how often we have the ability to change what is constant in our lives. And whether these things are a good constant or a bad constant, once we begin to get comfortable with concepts, we don't learn from them anymore. We start to overuse it and abuse it, and that's what I had done with acting. I think the final thing that really contributed to my change, the biggest, was that my brother and I were put into acting when we were 8 months old by our mother because we needed money. And I never made the decision to join the arts, or acting specifically.
Before leaving Disney Channel, they deferred college by 1 year to do one final season in their Sweet Life franchise, a spin-off they wrote themselves and wanted to help produce.
My brother and I, first off, we needed to stop the show. We knew it was
Sweet Life in college.
Yes, my brother and I actually quit off of Disney Channel.
I think that would have been cool, actually.
One because it had been 6 years. And we thought that the glory days of the show were definitely when we were in the younger series. And so we stopped it then, but also for another reason, my brother and I wanted to become producers for the show. So we were trying to get the writing credits for one more season before we went to college. See, because Cole and I actually deferred a year before we came here. And what we wanted to do during that year was film one last season where we wrote this all ourselves. We had everything out, laid out on the table. And we went up to them and we said, well, let's do one. If we're going to do one last season, it's going to be on our terms. We're going to produce it. And it'll be a setup for a new show. So what it would be is that Zach and Cody would leave the boat and they would go back to live in Boston at the hotel in the downtime between when they would go to college, if they did, and between, after leaving the boat. So there'd be a year of time there. And Cody would apply to college, and Zach would apply to college too. And we'd live with our mom again in the hotel. And during our stay at the hotel, things would have been changed, and it would kind of show this progression of time, what's happened in the meantime, how long have we actually been away, what has changed at the hotel, and, believe in the show. Mr. Tipton went bankrupt. And so how that would affect the show. And during then, there would be this little boy who lived with his single dad. And Cole and I, while we were preparing for college, would kind of raise this boy up as a little brother. So what we do is we'd show him all the crazy stuff in the hotel. We would, lead him in all these wacky situations. We'd basically start the show again, but with this one kid. And what it would do is that after that, Cody would go to college. Zach, who would not get into college, would go to work in business, and a used car dealership, I believe, is what we were thinking, to show that kids can be successful no matter what they choose. They could either be, successful going to college and getting an education, or they could be successful starting a fiscal life, just really starting right off the bat. And then the show could go in any direction with this kid that they wanted.
The spin-off Cole and Dylan came up with was truly perfect. They would act for one more year to help launch the new show and would receive writer and production credits, which would look amazing on their resume. Disney Channel would have a third installment of the highly successful Sweet Life franchise. Plus, Cole and Dylan could set up the Sweet Life crew, who at this point were more like family, for years of more work and pay. It was a win-win.
So
Sweet Life Shippuden.
The reason we wanted to do that too was because it would also set up all the cast and crew we've worked with for 60 years. So they would not lose their jobs in our decision to go to college in real life. And so they would continue to work, and we would also be making money off the producership.
However, when Cole and Dylan would pitch their idea to Disney executives, Disney's response would forever tarnish their relationship with the twins.
Previously, when we had pitched,
so they told them, "Nah, fuck out of here."
Where they had almost laughed in our faces and pushed us out the door, and we were like, it was really disrespectful. They told us no to that idea, so that was kind of.
How could you tell them no though?
Because they didn't trust us enough after all this time.
But that wouldn't be the end of Disney Channel showing how little they respected the twins.
They were literally like the fucking Drakes of fucking Disney Channel back in the day. How can you tell them no? The fuck?
Years of working together. Disney Channel would call Cole and Dylan back to pitch them a Sweet Life spin-off idea. But the idea Disney Channel came up with sounded oddly familiar.
Then a week or two later, they came back to us and they're like, all right, well, we said no to your idea. Let us pitch you our idea that we came up with and for the next season. So we sat down and we were like, all right, we'll hear you out. We're not really, Cole and I, ahead of time, we were like, we don't want to do that. And so they sat us down, they're like, all right, here's our idea. You guys leave the boat. Zach goes to work in Miami with Cole. They both go, Zach and Cody go to Miami, right? They go to this hotel.
That's ass.
Okay. And
that's
Selena
ass.
Gomez is there.
That's ass.
And Selena Gomez is there. And there's this
kid ass already.
Who has a single dad, right? And you guys raise him up like he's this prodigy of yours, and you can set up the show. You guys don't get producer credits, but then Zach would go to work in used car dealership, and Cody would go to college. But all of this happens in the rapid pace city of Miami. And they pitched us our idea in Miami with Selena Gomez And Cole and I turned to each other and we basically laughed in their face and walked out. And that was the last meeting we had with Disney.
This interview with Dylan Sprouse, which aired on YouTube in May of 2013, was deleted within 2 days of its release.
Oh yeah, I just
we
bet
will
it
never
was.
Know if it was Disney Channel.
Yeah,
that
it
wanted
was.
The true
It
reason
was.
as to why the
It
Sprouse
was.
twins left Disney.
It was.
Removed,
Let's not
or
act stupid.
if maybe
It was.
Dylan Sprouse didn't want that portion of the interview to go live. Either way, Cole and Dylan managed to break away from the Disney Channel.
Nah, Disney was like,
yeah. Many Disney Channel stars
take that shit down.
Very difficult
Fuck is you
time
doing?
Trying to break the Disney Channel mold. Even
we want to
have
have a fucking Disney Channel assassins knocking at your fucking door with an AR and point at your head if you'll take this shit down right now.
And in it, he talked about how he and his brothers
Mickey Mouse with a Glock is going to show up in your fucking bedroom, my nigga.
Joe Jonas
take this
spoke
shit
of
down.
This in 2013 when he said being a part of a company like Disney Channel comes with certain expectations. That the pressure to please Disney Channel executives, their parents, and fans is the kind of pressure no teen should ever be under.
So working for them in general is interesting. They contract you as a child. Basically, you can't do anything that will make you uninsurable. So you can't go surfing, you can't like rollerblade, you can't do like high impact sports, you can't do team sports.
I still think Sweet Life in College would have been a banger.
The executives, I think, like have to really kind of evaluate it case by case. And I'm not saying that they're going to say no every time, but it's a consideration. It's a consideration in that when you're working for them and you're believing that if you say yes and you behave, that you will be rewarded with extra screen time, extra opportunities. Like you want them to like you, right? And this doesn't just go for Disney. This goes for any kid who's in the business, working for a big company. My mom, who was like, let's say yes to everything. Let's make them happy. Let's work well with them. And you know what? It totally worked. Like I was in a lot of things that people know now to this day. But I do, however, think that there is value in saying no. Saying no is important because it tells people that you know your worth. I love Disney. I go to Disneyland. I go to Disney World. I love it. I believe in the magic 120 million%. I mean, the other thing is that when me and some other people were working for the channel, there wasn't social media. So these kids have millions of followers as soon as their TV shows are airing. And they have this massive influence that's independent of their contracts and what they're being paid for with Disney. So that means that they're independently wealthy at this point. Now that is leverage over the people that they work for. It's kind of scary for Disney because then these kids, they can make or break the fate of, I guess, the show. You know, that is something that my generation of Disney stars definitely did not have. So, unfortunately, if I had potentially seen myself as independent of anything that Disney Channel had brought me, I do believe I would have had the mindset of future growth rather than growing within the network exclusively.
Dylan Sprouse had a very different opinion than Joe Jonas when it came to being able to say no to Disney Channel.
So Dylan took to his Tumblr page, and on it he fired back, and he said, first, quote, I think it's bullshit that they are being robbed of choice or creativity. If they wanted to, they could have told Disney no. Cole, his twin brother, and I did this hundreds of times, and we ended up all right.
Something surprising about me, well, Disney wanted me to apologize for telling, I think maybe Popstar, that I have a helicopter through which I fly down into Antarctica to pick up polar bears and hang out with them. They wanted me to apologize. So I'm not going, but I think it's very fun.
And then he continues, nowadays artists just assume they have to do what they are told by their proprietors because there is a rigid structure to achievement. It is nothing more than a scheme to rob you of your individuality and capitalize the gain they acquire from such treachery. If you believe this, not only are you incredibly foolish, but you are a bad artist.
I feel really thankful for what I got. I mean, I don't come from a lot, so, you know, Disney gave me the opportunity to go to college, which was great. My brother and I are some of the first in our family to ever do that. And it gave me a life that, yeah, for a little bit it bites you. Some people complain about it. Some people complain about Disney or Nick or being a child star, but it is ultimately a privilege. It's a privilege, it's luck, it's success, it's right place, it's right time, it's business connection. And the fact that I was able to be successful at 23 years old is something I don't take lightly in the slightest.
And then he finally concludes, you do not have to become something else to be successful. Not only is it not too late for the Jonas Brothers to redefine themselves.
At least he admitted it was a privilege.
It's never too late.
I took a break from acting for a little bit. I really had a sort of reinvention, like a renewal. I thought education was really important. But I was a child actor. I mean, I've been working since I was 8 months old. So I think taking a break is fundamental for child stars in general. It allows them to step outside themselves. It allows them to see themselves more objectively. But most importantly, it allows them to get real-life experiences, real-life stories. And as an artist, that's what you pull off of for emotional depth, for emotional range, for all of that. So if you have no stories to tell and you've led no life in any realistic sense, then you can't go anywhere.
And this may very well be the reason Cole and Dylan were able to easily leave and start their adult life without always being reduced to just those twins who played Zach and Cody on the Disney Channel.
Good for them.
Me and you, we are who they wanna be, let's go. Me and you, we're hot, just like so I'm ready, and let go. I'll be better, you deep Nicole, hold my Birkin, I'll back the bow. I'll be Paris, you deep Nicole.
Actually, I didn't know she had a child with Macaulay Culkin.
We rule the world. I'll be Paris, you deep Nicole, hold my Birkin, I'll back the bow. I'll be Paris, you deep Nicole. Let's order some Sonic and then go for a colonic. Do you love it? Me and you, we are who they wanna be, let's go. Me and you, we're hot, just like so I'm ready, and let go.
Good for them. It seemed like they, you know what I'm saying, they was on the right track. They never was on no bullshit. They finally got to do what they wanted to do. And fuck Disney, real shit. Fuck Disney. Fuck Disney. Like, honestly. That shit was nasty.